Guys, if you honestly think that you're sitting back and saying stuff like, well, they're just in a slump right now and they've played, you know, three of the best teams in baseball that are a division leader and a team and two teams that are just red hot right now. Just stop it. Okay? Because two things can be true at the same time. Yes, the Padres are red hot and they won all 6 games against us this season. And yes, the Pirates should have won 2 of those games against them because O'Neal Cruz is a friggin' bum. He cost us the 3rd game. That should have been a win with his stupid throwing error, but he shouldn't have even been at shortstop in the 3rd place, or the 1st place, rather. And the bullpen blew the 2nd game last week. Those things are true, but don't kid yourself. You cannot sit back and think that, yeah, they played the Dodgers and they played the Padres and they played the Diamondbacks recently. Now they got to play the Mariners. Just stop it. You're only falling for what the management wants you to believe about this franchise. And the fact is, this is not a competing team. This is not a competing franchise. And this farm system does not have what it takes. Okay? Don't get stuck in it. Don't get stuck in the fact that so and so was pinch hitting for so and so yesterday. Oh, this guy was out of position. Oh, this guy should have been benched after a bad game. Or that Jared Triolo struck out with the bases loaded in the 9th inning yesterday. Or that Mitch Keller got absolutely rocked yesterday. Like I keep mentioning with O'Neal Cruz and his stupid errors. And by the way, O'Neal Cruz, you can get out of here. It's over. Get out of here. Don't lecture me on his batting average. Don't lecture me on the fact that, he's our second best hitter statistically. The dude can't hit a breaking ball. His OPS at this point, you'd be complimenting him to say that it's below average. The guy strikes out twice a game, and he's one of the worst defensive shortstops in the game. He has no purpose whatsoever on this team. I don't want to hear about his offense. Don't want to hear it. If you can hit the ball but you can't field, you're not a good player. Plain and simple. And like I said, it's pointless to even have him. Because IKF is a better shortstop than he's ever been. And when Nick Gonzalez comes off the IL, you better believe he's going to be starting at second base with Jared Triolo being the depth piece. Where's that leave O'Neal Cruz? Absolutely nowhere. And the fact that he's with this team until at least 2029 is criminal. Get out of here, Cruz. You're pointless to even have. Don't get stuck on the fact that the bullpen keeps blowing games. That's what the front office wants you to believe. That if they keep doing this and that if they keep going through these slumps, it's only going to lead to a good streak. And that these players are better than what they really are. And that this management and that this coaching staff is better than what they really are. That's exactly what they want you to believe. This team is now 56 and 64. They have dropped 10, yes, 10 straight games. They are now, I shouldn't even have to mention this, but I'll do it just because of the idiots in this fan base that keep saying that, the season's not totally over and they're not totally out of it. You guys, if you truly believe that this is any sort of a playoff contender, you're either lying to yourself, not watching the games, or you're just a total moron. But I'll say it to satisfy you anyway. 7.5 out of the wild card. Okay? And do you realize that under this management, that is now 274 wins and 391 losses for a winning percentage of 412. 412. That's usually a good thing when it comes to Pittsburgh. 412 is their winning percentage. Not in this one, but under this management, this is now the third losing streak of 10 or more games. And they have now had 26 such losing streaks in this franchise's history that goes back to 1882. There have only been there have only been three managers in the history of baseball that have had worse winning percentages and have managed more games than Derek Shelton. Two of them came before 1945, and the other one was with the expansion 1969 San Diego Padres. And do you want to know why those managers didn't last? It's because they got fired. That's what those type of managers end up getting. They end up getting a bus slip. They end up getting fired. But not over here in Pittsburgh. They get 3-year extensions. It's not about anything that what the front office wants you to believe. And if you want a good example of that, how about you take a look at who we shipped off in the trade deadline? Martin Perez, who made his start against us yesterday. He did a stellar Greg Maddux impression against us. Pirates struck out 14 times yesterday after striking out 15 times in the game before. They now strike out 9.4 times per game, which is the fourth most in the MLB. And Martin Perez, ever since going to San Diego, in 3 starts, he has a 169 ERA, 21 strikeouts in 18.3 innings. So were we wrong to get rid of Martin Perez? It's looking like it because Oscar Marin is not a natural pitching coach. He is a biomechanics type of guy, which I have no problem with. But if you're going to get a biomechanics guy, have him just be a biomechanics guy. You don't make that guy your pitching coach. And if you're like, well, all the Pirates really need is a manager, and all the Pirates really need is a pitching coach, and all they really need is a hitting coach, and they just need to call more kids up from the farm. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you take a look at the farm, it ain't much better. Because all the teams in the farm system are top 5 in strikeouts. So do strikeouts not matter? Do they just magically not matter? Tell that to O'Neal Cruz, who has the 4th most strikeouts in the league, and also tell that to Jack Sawinski, who also strikes out a million times. The kids don't. The kids strike out in the farm. What do you think's going to happen when they get called up? They're going to strike out. How this clown, Derek Shelton, has a job still is beyond me. He should have been fired immediately after yesterday's game. Hell, he should have been fired 2 years ago after the Pirates had their second straight 100-loss season. Should have been fired 2 years ago. Instead, he gets a 3-year extension. Andy Haynes is absolutely useless. Andy Haynes leads an offense that can't they can't hit their way out of a wet paper bag. They can't do anything. All they do is just stand up there, watch every plate go right down the middle, and I'm sick and tired of just saying this, man. I really am. I really am. It gets tiring. It really does just get tiring. I mean, You called up Paul Skeens because he's supposed to be the last piece of the puzzle with the rebuild. I don't know how anyone in their right mind at any level can sit back and consciously say that these are the right people going forward with this franchise. And I said this before, and I will gladly say it again. It is actually statistically harder to be this consistently bad than it is to occasionally accidentally be good. But somehow the Pirates managed to do that. I also said that the Pirates in the second half of the season were either going to emerge or they were going to fall or they were going to outright fall apart. And I said I was leaning towards the latter. And look what's happening. 1-11 in the month of August. They have the third worst record since the trade deadline. They have the third worst record in the league since the All-Star break. The only two teams that have a worse record than us are surprisingly Philadelphia and guess who? The Chicago White Sox, who lost 21 straight games not too long ago. But hell, even the White Sox are more competent than the Pirates at this point because the White Sox fired their manager after that losing streak. And they got Grady Sizemore interiming as their current manager right now. And if you still don't believe me with the talent that they have is just held back by a manager, I'm going to read off these averages from yesterday's lineup. Okay. So IKF is batting 284, which is good. 284 is good. And then, of course, Brian Reynolds, the only player on this team that can actually hit 285. So there you go. That's good, right? Those are good right there. Listen to the rest of this. This is from yesterday's lineup. Connor Joe, 234. Joey Bart, 273. Not terrible, but it could be better. It's just average. Cabrian Hayes, 238. Brian De La Cruz, 240. Michael A. Taylor, 206. And then Yasmani Grandal, 195. And Jared Triolo, 199. So what's that tell you right there? Again, I don't know how anyone can sit back and say that the Pirates are just a young team that's learning and that they're truly a contender that's just on a bad slump. They currently have the longest losing streak in the MLB. It's just, I don't know what else to say. 5 years into this rebuild, this should have been the year where the Pirates should have wrapped up the rebuild, put all the pieces together, and built up a contender. You look at franchises like Baltimore, they figured it out. You look at franchises like Kansas City, they're appearing to figure it out. You look at franchises like Cleveland, they always have a great farm. They always have a smart front office. They always draft well. They have the best record in the American League with a first-year manager in Stephen Vogt, who had no managerial experience. You look at franchises like our next opponent, Seattle, they figured it out. The Houston Astros went from losing 110-plus games a year to being a dynasty in the making, basically. Say what you want about their cheating scandals, but you know what? Every team has cheated at least once. They're not the only team that's ever cheated. They're a borderline dynasty. You look at Texas, they're the defending champions. You look at Atlanta, they've figured it out. You look at Philadelphia, they've figured it out. You look at Cincinnati even, they've figured it out. You look at the Brewers, they've figured it out. St. Louis, as much as I can't stand them, they've always had a strong front office and they've always had a smart developmental phase. Aside from last year just being the outlier, Arizona's figured it out. San Diego's figured it out. Meanwhile, where I see all these franchises rebuilding properly, drafting well, making smart decisions, making good trades, making their team better. Meanwhile, where are the Pirates? Bottom of the barrel, laughing stock of the league. Nobody respects us. How much more of this do we have to take? How much more of this do we have to suffer through? When is this team really going to be a serious contender? How can you be so bad for so long? 4 winning seasons since 1993. 4. 4 winning seasons. I couldn't believe that this team was even in the wild card talks. What? Not even 2 weeks ago? They should have won that series against Arizona, and they should have won that series against San Diego. And then, yeah, you can look at that Dodgers and Padres series just being bad series, but really, what difference does it make? Anyway, I've gone on long enough. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Mac checking on out for the day. Take care, everybody.